Hello and welcome to another video. In this video, we're talking about freelance versus full-time instructional design. And I will admit right off the bat that I am a bit biased. So I am a freelance e-learning designer, and I really can't imagine it any other way because I like the lifestyle so much. And before we dive into the why, let me give you a bit of background. So as soon as I heard about instructional design, and I was an undergraduate at the time, finishing up my bachelor's in English literature, I had this vision in my head, and I really wanted to work from my computer, be location independent so I could work from Europe if I wanted to on a train with a Wi-Fi connection. That was like the vision that was really selling me on instructional design and e-learning design specifically. At the time, I had no idea if it was possible. I didn't have any successful examples of people I could turn to ask about this, but from the skill set and the nature of the work, it seemed like it should be doable. So as soon as I started my master's program in instructional systems and learning technologies, I got on Upwork. I started doing as much research as I could about how to build a freelance e-learning business. I put together a portfolio. I started landing some clients. But most of the advice that I saw was to land a full-time job before going out on your own and freelancing. Build the experience, build the connections, build the expertise. That was the advice pretty much across the board. So that's what I thought I would have to do. So when I was about halfway through my master's program and thinking about what was next, I started thinking about where I would want to see myself. And I was doing job applications and interviews and seeing where I might fit in. But I really had my eyes set on the big tech companies like Amazon. So, Amazon was my top choice. I was talking to someone there, so I was pretty confident I could land and nail an interview. My portfolio and everything was in good shape. But when I brought up compensation, I was expecting, since it was based in Seattle and since I was building up the technical and visual design skill set and all of that good stuff, I was expecting around like $80,000 salary to start. I thought that would be pretty fair. But then the person I was talking to at the company was like, no, that's not really realistic for someone just getting out of a master's program. You basically have to get your years in to start making more money. So that didn't sound super appealing to me. I wanted to be compensated based off of my skill set and the value that I could bring, not so much the number of years of experience that I have on my resume. So it worked out because by the time I graduated, my portfolio was landing me enough freelance work to do the freelancing stuff full time. So that first year of freelancing was a nightmare in some ways, just because of how much work it was and how many hard business lessons I had to learn. Because freelancing really is 50% doing the work and 50% running the business and marketing and taking care of invoicing and legal issues. So with that being said, I think that freelancing does take a particular type of person, and you should know what you're getting into. But let's explore why I think freelancing is like the only option for me, and maybe you'll resonate and realize that freelancing is a good choice for you. So first up, as I've already hinted at, the compensation issue is big for me. So it sounds like if I was working at Amazon, I would be making 60 or 70K a year, but my e-learning company did almost 200K in sales the first year out of my master's program. And I think that was probably 160K or so in profit. So that's not a realistic salary that I could expect at a full-time job. And yeah, I really like the freelance marketplace because people are looking for talent based on their abilities and based on their portfolio and the end product. And I think that's how it should be. I think it makes sense theoretically that someone who's more experienced should produce better work or provide more value to the business, but I don't think that's how it happens a lot in practice. So it is riskier, of course, and it does take, I grinded my butt off during my master's program to get that business off the ground, to be in that position. But there are some people who have already built a personal brand and built a strong network as a full-time employee. So I think it's very realistic for those people to make the jump and to, make it run a six-figure freelance business if they already have some of that groundwork in place. This is the biggest selling point for me, and it's why I wanted to pursue freelancing in the first place. It's the freedom, okay? So of course the compensation can lead to freedom because of, the relationship between money and freedom. But also when you're a freelancer, the nature of freelance work is that you set your hours. You work on your own time. The only important thing is that you meet the deadlines. And you of course need to be available to communicate, and you need to be responsive, but you decide when you work. So, some days if I stay up late, I can get started working at 10, 11, noon, I can get started working. If you're not feeling good one day or you have family obligations or something, you can just decide to take the day off as long as you're able to get that work done, before any deadlines, and you're not holding anything up. So that's awesome. You get to decide where you work. So with coronavirus right now, that's been my home office, but it is nice, the idea of being able to take my laptop and working from Europe for a week or two, as long as I don't need to do anything super development heavy. And then I think the most important aspect of this is having the freedom to decide which projects to work. And of course, this does take some time to achieve. My first year, I was more like desperate, I would say. And I think most new freelancers are in this position where they need to take work to pay the bills. But it's important that you don't get stuck in that trap. And because, you want to be able to be picky about which clients you work with, so that the clients where you're not making very much money, or the clients who are causing you a lot of undue stress, or who don't respect you or your time or your craft, those aren't the clients you want to have to work with, and you don't want to feel like you have to work with them because of money. So for me, I found the best way to have that freedom is to build up a nice safety net, so that I know, I could turn down projects for the next several months or however long it is, and we'll still be paying the bills, we'll still be fine. So that freedom is important too. I really like the variety aspect of freelancing. So like I said before, when you're a full-time employee, it's your job to do the work, use your skill set to get the work done. Well, with freelancing, that's only half of the equation. The other half is making sure that you're keeping your business running and keeping new clients coming in. So the way I do that is with content marketing. So I spend at least half of my time working on articles, recording videos like this, hosting live stream events, networking on LinkedIn by posting, having conversations with other people in the field. I really like that aspect of it, and it's nice. It's like, since it helps me grow the business, it's like an added layer of motivation to be working on the content and putting stuff out there, which where I've gotten to is all of the content I'm putting out is to help the community, to help other IDs and e-learning designers. So it's really nice having that come back and work, because it makes it more self-sustaining. I can take on higher value work with more profit, which gives me more time to contribute to the community and spend more time sharpening my skill set so that I can share what I learn with others. So mileage may vary with this one. I know some people have full-time jobs that give them a lot of freedom and a lot of variety to work on what they find interesting. But when you are your own business, you at the end of the day have that say, as long as you're bringing in the money to keep the lights on. This one is probably one of the most controversial aspects of this freelance versus full-time conversation. I see a lot of full-time employees say, opt for the full-time work because of the stability. But I'm not sure I'm super bought into that. I think if you're a full-time employee, that there's definitely more regularity. You know exactly how much your paycheck is going to be every X amount of days or X amount of weeks. But if that employer goes under, or you lose your job for whatever reason, or you start suffering, some sort of psychological abuse at the workplace, it's kind of an unhealthy dynamic, because they're your sole source of income when you're a full-time employee, or presumably they are if you're only working that one full-time job. So when you're a freelancer, if you have a client who's treating you wrong or a client who runs out of money and can't pay you anymore, you still have other clients who are helping you pay the bills and making sure that you have money coming in. So to me, that diversification of where your income is coming from, that seems much more stable to me. But I see how, and I think I'm speaking, I don't have any kids. It's just my fiance and I. So I think it's a lot easier to deal with the uncertainty and risk that comes along with freelancing when you don't have kids or a family to support. But that being said, I think once you do have your freelance business off the ground and you do have multiple sources of multiple clients, and you know that your freelance business is going to be self-sustaining, I think that's a bit more stable than most full-time positions, at least to my understanding. So I think that's a wrap. Those are the main points for me. I mean, I can't really imagine going back, ever doing full time unless I have to, just because of how much I like the freelance freedom and lifestyle, and I really do like the entrepreneurial aspect of it. I love producing the content. Let me know your take on this in the comments below. I am always interested to hear other perspectives on this. I know it's of course a personal choice at the end of the day. And if you are enjoying this content, go ahead and like the video and subscribe. I'm actually starting a new series next week called eLearning Designer Weekly, where I'm basically going to walk you through my week. I'm going to talk about things I'm working on with clients, maybe challenges I'm facing, sharing important, good resources that I find throughout the week. So I've already been recording some content for that today, and I am really excited to share that next video. So go ahead and subscribe if that sounds interesting, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.